The kiss will make a hook of our siege, and ride as a leader of men.
Hey guys, what is up? Niyat here with Film Comics Explained, and today we'll be taking a look at the Sandworms, which were featured in the 1984 epic, Dune. The Sandworms were essentially enormous native life forms of the planet Arrakis, which lived in the vast deserts and sand dunes that stretch across the surface of the planet. They were similar in appearance to colossal terrestrial annelids found on Earth, and were an essential factor in the creation of the spice melange, which was a naturally produced awareness spectrum substance. This spice was also an important resource used in commerce and the technological development of the varying cultures found on Arrakis. The Sandworms were the predominant life form on the planet, and were both honoured and feared by the locals, growing up to lengths of 450 meters, with some people claiming that worms in excess of 1,000 meters could be found in the southern pole regions, though this was yet to be confirmed. Their skin was thick, rough, and slightly orange in colour. Their skin was also heavily reinforced, comprising of many scales that were a few feet in size, and which overlapped and interlocked to form a bio-armor. Though incredibly resilient to damage and almost impenetrable, the armor could be exploited by prying open one or more of the scales, allowing for the softer and more sensitive skin underneath to be completely exposed. Their diet was composed of sand and other inorganic and dry components of the Arrakis surface. The Sandworms also let out an incredibly strong smell that has been described as a strong, flinty, cinnamon type of odor which emanates from the mouth, often allowing people to smell them before they were in sight. The creatures lived beneath the sand and were attracted to rhythmic vibrations that occurred on the surface. This encouraged them to pursue the source of the disturbances in an effort to defend their territory, of which they were highly protective. Whenever two Sandworms sensed each other's presence, they would let out a roar before challenging the intruder. Due to their aggressive territorial displays, few people would ever be lucky enough to see a sandworm and live to tell the tale. Consumption of water was known to be fatal to the sandworms, as the liquid would act as a catalyst, accelerating their metabolism to the point that it became unstable, causing their vital biological functions to fail. To the planet's freeman population, the sandworms were a spiritual symbol of their faith that was seen as the physical embodiments of the one god of their original Zen Sunni religion. Over time, the Freemans were able to develop a unique relationship to the Sandworms. Not only were they able to avoid worm attacks by mimicking the motions of desert animals and moving with the natural sounds of the desert, but they had also mastered a way of riding the Sandworms across the desert, which enabled them to travel hundreds of miles before releasing the exhausted creatures to burrow back into the sand and rest. Because the Sandworms were so essential to the creation of the spice melange, they had an enormous impact on planet Arrakis and the universe as a whole, as the spice was a coveted resource throughout. The Sandworms in Dune were also actually inspired by the dragons of European mythology that guarded some form of treasure. Much like the dragons that guarded gold, the Sandworms of Arrakis protected the melange deposits, making the acquisition of the coveted spice a dangerous undertaking. Well, that's all for today, folks. Thanks to all of you guys who suggested we take a look at the Sandworms featured in Dune. If there's any other content you would like me to check out, please do not hesitate to ask. As always, it's been a pleasure. Niyat here with Film Comics Explained. Thanks for stopping by.